Side 2. I saw a movie in London last night, said Ian as he painfully pushed the long row of supermarket trolleys towards the front entrance of Besco's Wellingborough Road branch. It was called Leaving Las Vegas.
Is that the one with all the nude beanies?
No, you're thinking of Showgirls. Nicolas Cage it was. Won an Oscar for it many a long moon ago.
How come a bloke like you gets to go out to top London cinemas and have hair styled by stylists and that, and get suits and all? No beanie ever comes up to me for anything except a trolley.
Eddie, you'll meet Miss Right one day, mate.
Get off. Wouldn't get married if you paid me,
said Eddie, walking away and hoiking up his baggy jeans. Ian pushed a gaggle of roller pallets into one orderly row and propelled them through the busy store, past the beautifully displayed fresh produce section, and through the two large rubber doors that separated the public space from the storeroom. He turned left and went up a flight of echoing stairs, along a corridor, and up to the open door into Mrs. Phillips's office. She sat behind her desk looking through a sheaf of papers.
Ah, Ian, sit you down, sit you down. I've been meaning to have a word for a while. You're happy working here with us, aren't you?
Oh, yes, very happy, Mrs. Phillips, said Ian politely.
I can see you thriving as deputy manager. Dry goods are looking wonderful, and we were wondering how you'd feel about another bit of promotion.
Mrs. Phillips was branch manager. No one called her by her first name except June, the senior deputy manager.
You like people. That rubs off, you know. People like you, and I like customers to like my staff. I have to say that's partly down to good management, but I'm not here to blow my own trumpet, I'm here to blow yours.
Ian suddenly had a very strong mental flash, a vivid all-colour pict-file picture of Mrs. Phillips sucking his penis. It was initially revolting, and then suddenly immensely attractive. Well, thank you, he said, not sure why he said it.
The company are looking for a new Midlands area delivery manager, Ian. I've put you forward as someone who could hit the ground running, as it were. It's a big responsibility, a wonderful pay increase, of course, company car, and a greatly improved pension package.
That's very exciting, Mrs. Phillips. Gresham woke up in the dark, her limbs aching. As she moved, she heard the squeak of leather upholstery. She was in Stanhope's Range Rover, on her own in the pitch dark. The interior light came on as she opened the door, its faint glow showing her that the car was parked on a gravel drive in front of a very large house. She knew immediately that she was outside the front door of Landgate House, home of the De Courcy family for 800 years, so they claimed. Without hesitation, she hammered on the ancient wood with both fists, then got hold of the large ornate brass bell pull and wrenched at it with all her might. After about 30 seconds, she heard a voice, muffled behind the door.
Who is it?
Me, Gresham, I'm freezing.
The door swung open, and Gresham was immediately engulfed in a wealth of warmth and the rich smell of furniture polish. She looked around the large hall as she stormed inside. No one there except servants and Stanhope's awful younger brother, Piers.
Where's Stanhope?
Crashed.
What a prick. Am I really going to marry that man?
Apparently,
said Piers with a sly smile.
And you can piss off, you little toad. Which bedroom is he in?
Gresham followed Piers along a wide corridor.
How's school then, twathead?
Bit of a bore. How's your film?
Awful. I've been looking at it all day trying to work out how to cut that useless American bitch out.
I've always found her rather attractive.
She'd shag anyone, even a little faggot like you.
Green room.
Piers pointed to a door.
Sleep tight.
Gresham opened the door and went inside. The lights were off. It was utterly still. She crept across the room relatively silently until she stubbed her toe on a large and unforgiving piece of ancient furniture.
Ouch! Shit!
There was some grunting and humping in the bed, and a small bedside light was switched on. Gresham stared at a man she'd never seen before.
"Who the hell are you?"
"Ah, you're Gresham, aren't you?" said the man, handsome and rugged, slightly too well manicured.
"Who are you?"
"Steve. Sorry, we've not been introduced. I'm a friend of Stan's."
"Where is Stanhope?"
"As far as I know, the Red Room."
"Okay. I'm off to the Red Room. Good night."
"Sleep well," said Steve with a well-cared-for smile. As Gresham's head hit the Liberty's linen pillowcase, Stanhope de Courcy, one day to be the 18th Duke of Weymouth, eldest son of the family, and theoretically in line to inherit a fortune estimated to be near £100 million, entered from the small bathroom and collapsed next to her. "Sorry, sweet. Must have been something I ate."
"Oh, are you okay?"
she asked, ready to tear him off. But there was no reply, just a deep snore. The conservatory at Landgate House was one of the largest private glass houses in the country. Gresham entered at 8:30, fresh out of the bath. Her father, Sir Roger Hollingford, was reading The Independent. "This film of yours is getting a hell of a lot of publicity."
"I just hope it's all worth it,"
said Alice.
"Of course it's worth it, Mummy. It's called hype."
"Oh, goodness!" Sir Roger smiled at his radiant daughter. "So, Gresh, do tell, how's it all going?"
"Oh, God," said Gresham, throwing her head back. "You don't want to know."
"Then how's how's Euphemie?"
"I think she's fallen in love with a train spotter."
"What on earth is that?" asked Alice.
"A sado, an anorak, a puke merchant who writes down the numbers of trains. A man who plays with himself in public, Mummy."
"Oh, good heavens above!" Stanhope entered the conservatory. He was a little over 6 foot, dark-haired and devilishly handsome. 2 glistening blue eyes surveyed the room with speed. "Has anyone seen Piers?"
"Has anyone seen Gresham?" said Gresham.
"Bloody hell, Gresh. Didn't see you. God, you look gorgeous. Sorry about the car and all that last night."
"Oh, what happened?"
"I drove Gresh out here last night. She crashed in the car."
"He means fell asleep, Mum."
"So I thought I'd make sure her room was warm and everything."
"Only you forgot and left me to freeze to death outside. You're lucky I didn't beat the shit out of you, you great lanky wazzock."
Lunch was in the long gallery. The meal was a formal affair. It was officially a family gathering to allow the Hollingfords and the de Courcys to become acquainted. Gresham was sitting opposite Stephen, the clean man she'd met the night before in the green bedroom. He was delightful and charming, but terribly discreet. She found out nothing about him during lunch. Stanhope's mother, the Duchess of Weymouth, did not truly possess the grand appearance her title indicated. The Duke, on the other hand, was a chip off the old block. See the family resemblance. Strong genes, don't you know? He smiled kindly at Gresham. She smiled back.
"Stan's a lucky fellow, and no mistake. So here's the very best to you both, and let's hope this whole affair doesn't go the way of the bloody awful royals."
To a subdued cheer of approval, the company raised their glasses and toasted the couple, Gresham, Alice, Oriel, Hollingford, and Stanhope, Vivian, Seston, Ossel, Hubert de Courcy. "Hear, hear." "Up in the front with the judge's cup," said Ian, staring into the mirror carefully.
"Better?"
said Cicely. Euphemie smiled. She was making a difference. She and Cicely had shared a dormitory together at Bedales. Cicely always longed to be an actress. She was wonderful in the school production of Hedda Gabler.
"He's got a good ear, darling, but his monothongs are terribly sloppy. Pit, pet, pat, pot, all those are terrible."
Ian nodded without making a sound. He did look rather tragic, Euphemie thought, standing almost to attention, doing everything the ravishing Cicely told him.
"After me, say, articulatory agility is a desirable ability."
Ian took a deep breath, concentrated on his tongue and dived in.
Marvellous! Much better! Could you hear the difference, Feemy?
Yes, but it all sounds a bit forced, said Euphemie. You think he'll improve once he relaxes a bit?
Oh, yeah, definitely,
said Ian, using a surprisingly good far-back and plummy voice. The two women laughed, not looking at Ian, but at each other as if to congratulate themselves on training a puppy to sit. Cicely showed them to the tiny rose-bedecked door when their hour was up. Ian stood out in the bright sun looking at the passing crowds.
Where did you find him? She asked slyly.
Ian?
Yes, he's a dreamboat.
Do you think so?
Oh, God, Feemy, come on. He's gorgeous and so charming.
Okay. Ian's a train spotter.
A what-water?
A train spotter. He's a nerd, an anorak, an autograph hunter. Look, you must swear not to tell, okay? I'm having a wager with Gresh, and you must keep this quiet. But I'm having a wager that I can pass him off at her engagement party as a PLU.
Oh, Feemy, you're so brave. Only you would even think of doing that.
It's the principle, Cicely. Gresh says that there's no hope of changing people. You know how she is, foul-mouthed fascist bitch, basically.
Feemy, she's not. And anyway, she's your half-sister.
Euphemie grabbed her arm harder than would be expected in their circles. He has changed, Cis, honestly. He's changed in so many ways. His outlook has changed because I've shown him other ways to be. Cicely and Euphemie hugged, Cicely looking over Euphemie's shoulder at Ian, who stood watching. She smiled her sexiest smile at him. He smiled back. No embarrassment, no shyness, just honest, open contact.
She's very nice,
he said as they walked down Hampstead High Street together. Ian, please don't use nice, said Euphemie.
She's very kind. She's very gentle,
said Ian, searching for words.
I really liked her.
Thank you, said Euphemie. She put a hand on Ian's neck, pulled at him a little. He bent down slightly, and she kissed him softly on the cheek. That was brilliant, she said. Ian stood up straight and threw his shoulders back.
Jolly good. Let's have some lunch, actually.
Ian spent nearly 2 hours getting to Reading, train from Northampton to Banbury, change for Oxford, train to Oxford, change to the main London line stopping at Reading. Then a taxi ride to the large Besco administrative headquarters at the entrance to Hambourne Development Park, a greenfield site just outside the town. On the journey he read GQ, Time Out, Esquire, Premier, Loaded, and What PC. The first 5 had been given to him by Euphemie to study and memorize. As it turned out, he didn't touch What PC. He rapidly became engrossed in all the media gossip and reports on new films, interviews with really famous people, pictures of stars at glamorous parties, rich people who laughed at the camera and enjoyed their lives. After all these years, Euphemie had arrived out of the intercity and had lifted a blanket from him, a warm, safe, unchanging blanket. But as she did so, new feelings had come up which seemed to make his shoulders expand, his mind reach out and want to embrace the world, not protect himself from it.
Ian Ringfald to see Mr. Farthing,
he said to the smart receptionist. The office was overlooking a small ornamental pond and rock garden that sat in the centre of the building.
Ian, hi. John Farthing. Sit you down, sit you down. So, you're going to be the area distribution manager for...
Northampton North.
That's the place. Now, car. We can only, I'm afraid, offer the 1.4 Fiesta at this stage, but it's the new model. Goes like shit off a shovel. Now, your main task is to see that the total delivery package is running smoothly. You've got how many stores in the area?
4, I think,
said Ian.
Spot on.
It's a side of the business which has always held a great interest for me, Mr. Farthing.
Call me John, please.
Mr. Farthing handed him a large glossy brochure. Besco's Superstores, Internal Ordering and Distribution Systems, a Technical Breakdown.
Thanks, that's great. Is there any chance I could have a look-see at the old Amdale 5995? It's just I've been pumping data down the old ISDN line for so long now, I'd love to see where it gets crunched.
Follow me, said Mr. Farthing, and they walked from his office, along a corridor and down a stairwell. They entered a brightly lit room where the noise level was quite high. A man was sitting at a desk with a large screen in front of him.
Ian wants to see the old Amdale.
There it is,
said the man, pointing to a box only a little larger than a domestic washing machine.
Fantastic.
Absolutamento,
said Mr. Farthing.
Okie diddly doodly, we better get a shift on. Bit of a seminar upstairs, by all accounts.
Lost in a confused haze, Ian followed Mr. Farthing through the plush, quiet corridors of head office and into a seminar room. A woman in an unpleasant-looking light blue suit entered.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Janet Daly. I'm an independent systems consultant, seconded to Besco's for the duration.
All the way through the seminar, the lump in Ian's throat got bigger and bigger. He didn't feel sorry for himself. He didn't hate the woman giving the seminar. He didn't hate the company. He just felt sorry for everyone, making all this effort. And for what? To finally, at the end of the day, when all was said and done, put a jar of marmalade on a shelf. He choked back a sob and ground his new teeth. The Ocean Restaurant, Albemarle Street, said Euphemie, throwing herself into the seat. The taxi pulled out into Upper Street's clogged traffic. Fuck. Everything was going wrong. The International Children's Trust was in a state of crisis. Worries crowded Euphemie's head as she sat in a stationary taxi, watching the little red figures slowly mount on the meter. She had seen Ian on 3 occasions a week, usually 2 mornings and 1 evening to fit in with his work schedule. She gave him a large carrier bag of material to read, paperback books, glossy magazines, articles she'd clipped from newspapers, all with one thing in mind, to make this man interesting. With only a little encouragement, he had blossomed beyond her expectations. But she also knew that there was some part of him, a large part of him, that she never got near. He seemed completely self-contained. After half an hour and an £18 fare, she got out of the taxi in front of the Ocean Restaurant. One glance through the window told her that Ian was already there, sitting at a table reading Palimpsest by Gore Vidal. He looked gorgeous, looked like he belonged. His clothes fitted him well. His body had changed from a sagging second-hand plastic bag to well-built chunky boy meat. He was lightly tanned and well cared for. "Hi, sorry I'm late." He leant forward and kissed her on the cheek. She was taken aback, but pleased.
"I have something to tell you."
"Wait, little test," said Euphemie. "Who wrote My Beautiful Laundrette?"
"Hanif Qureshi."
"Who starred in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?"
"Jack Nicholson."
"Who directed the film Casino and who was in it?"
"A fantastic Scorsese film starring De Niro and Sharon Stone."
"Now, what did you have to tell me?"
"I've resigned. I've left Besco's. I couldn't do it anymore."
"Can I ask why?"
"I started to get a lump in the throat. I suppose I'll have to sign on."
"No, you don't have to do that. I'll make sure you're all right until the party."
"Next week?"
"Yeah."
"I don't want charity, thank you very much indeed."
"Try not to say thank you very much indeed like that, and anyway, I'm sure you'll find another job soon. I'll help if I can."
"Do you think I'm ready for the party?"
"Yes, Ian. I think you are." According to the 350 gilt-edged invitations Gresham and her mother had sent out, the party started at 8. At 7:30, a fairly large number of what Gresham would term the sadder elements of the family were already in attendance. She spied her cousin Janet,
Her father's side, no class, bottom drawer. Stephen, Stanhope's friend and business colleague, was also there, looking a little odd in his very fitted evening dress with his bright yellow patterned cummerbund. He was obviously gay, which was fine. Half the people Gresham worked with were gay. Piers arrived early too, in the company of a very pretty young debutante called Helena, and two lanky lads with sweaty foreheads and eager grins. Gresham found herself standing next to Stanhope in the entrance hall for nearly an hour as people poured through the large front door. She knew she looked utterly stunning in a skin-tight black mini-dress that showed off her figure to a staggering degree.
"Gresham, darling,"
said Ruby Wax as they embraced.
"You bitch, look at you, gorgeous."
"You look dazzling too, dear."
"Oh yeah, dazzling like a twisted, demented gargoyle. You know, Eddie?"
Ruby gestured to a tall, slim man with a beard.
"Eddie thought he had a chance, but I got him."
Ruby and Eddie disappeared into the throng. Gresham saw her half-sister Euphemie looking very well prepared, standing there arm in arm with a very handsome, very attractive, very good-looking young man.
"Hello, Feemy. Glad you made it."
"Congratulations, Gresh. You got him at last. Well done, honestly."
"Hello, I'm Gresham,"
she said to the big-handed man.
"It's my party."
"Very good to be here,"
said Ian. Gresham noticed he seemed to have a little trouble speaking. Was he foreign? She wanted to know more about him.
"Christ, you're not a banker, are you, Ian?"
"No, I'm presently unemployed."
"Oh, brilliant. That makes a change. We don't have to talk about your dreadful, boring work."
Gresham could feel her pulse racing. She was flirting. She hadn't flirted since she was a teenager, never got the chance. Every man she ever met always wanted to have sex with her, marry her, or run away with her as soon as she spoke to them.
"No, not at all. Bit on the warm side in here."
"It's bloody boiling,"
said Euphemie quickly.
"The doors to the garden are open,"
said Gresham. They followed her through the crowded room. The dreadful Christine Hanks grabbed Euphemie by the arm as she passed.
"Euphemie, hi!"
"Hello, Christine. You know Gresham?"
"Hi, Gresham. It's so nice of you to invite me."
"This is my friend, Ian."
"Oh, my God. Hi there."
"Hello," said Ian graciously. Gresham looked at him from the side. He looked good. Strong chin. She felt a huge need to embarrass her half-sister, who was standing there looking smugger than she'd ever seen before.
"You'll never guess what she did, well, tried to do."
"What?" asked Ian.
"She saw some tragic case, a pitiful sight on a train station somewhere like Leicester."
"Gresh."
"I know you're bloody embarrassed about it, Euphemie, and so you should be."
"Gresh, I'm sure Ian doesn't want to hear this."
"She saw a train spotter, Ian, a tosser, a tragic anorak, ugly as sin, a spot-ridden, hopeless case, pebble glasses, buggers handles, the works. And Feeny, bless her, claimed she could reconstruct him into someone I would fancy. As if."
"Seems like an odd thing to do,"
said Ian, with, as Gresham noticed, a slightly different accent.
"Ian, could you get me a drink, please? I'm parched."
Ian stood staring at Euphemie for a moment, then nodded quietly and walked off. As soon as he was out of earshot, Gresham grabbed Euphemie's arm.
"Feeny, who is he? Jesus, girl, seeing you with a half-decent man is a shock, but this one's a dreamboat. Where did you find him?"
"He's the train spotter, the tosser. He's the man on the platform in Milton Keynes."
"Bollocks."
"I've won the wager, Gresh. You fancy him?"
"Here are my expenses. See, I've run up quite a bill." "Oh, bollocks, Feemy. Do you think I came down with yesterday's rain? He doesn't look anything like the sado on the platform."
"Not that you'd remember, anyway."
"Look, if you're that broke, I'll pay you anyway. What the hell? But that man was not the train spotter."
Christine Hanks came walking across the garden at quite a lick.
"Look out, she might run us over." "Hi,"
said Christine loudly.
"He's left, then?"
Who?
Ian. I just saw him slip out of the front door.
Very convenient. Gresham turned and smiled at Christine. She expects me to believe he was the sad act from the train station.
He was.
It was him, hissed Euphemie. It was the same man.
It was, honest, Gresham. He doesn't wear an anorak anymore, and he knows not to ask famous people for autographs. Oh, that reminds me. Actually, he did ask someone for an autograph just before he left.
Oh no, who?
That nice one who's in the adverts with the odd-looking one. He's doing the benefit.
Hugh Laurie. Right, let's ask him. Euphemie saw Hugh pouring himself a drink by the bar. She strode up to him, kissed him on both cheeks, and held his arm. Hugh, has anything untoward happened since you've been at this party? You haven't been asked for anything.
No, well, some chap wanted the old moniker. For his son, apparently.
For his son? Said Euphemie. It can't have been him.
It was. I saw him. I'm Christine Hanks, by the way.
She held out her hand and Hugh shook it. Was he about 6 foot, dark hair, blue eyes, with one front tooth slightly out of kilter? Asked Euphemie.
Yes, I would say so, though I hardly glanced at him.
The bill is all yours, honey, said Gresham. I've not finished yet. I've spent over 7 grand. I'm not stopping now. Face it, you lost. So, are you going back on your promise? Gresham stared at her. People were watching. She desperately wanted to humiliate her half-sister as much as possible, but she felt exposed. Now wasn't the time. No, I'm not. If it's him, and you can really prove it, I'll pay. Christine, it's Feemy. I just had to ring you.
What?
Mumbled Christine. Look, I'll be quick, then you can go back to sleep, poor thing. Could you cover for me today in the office? I'm going up to Northampton to get Ian and drag the poor man kicking and screaming to Gresham's place.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll do my best.
Thanks, Chris. You can see I've got to do it, can't you? It's not to do with all the garbage she comes out with about me being the poorer, less good-looking half-sister with thick ankles.
Would that I had your ankles,
said Christine sadly. Oh, God, go back to sleep, you poor thing. Euphemie sat on the train alone. It was pulling its way through the grey, wet flatlands of Buckinghamshire. A cement works, the Ovaltine factory, grim-looking brickworks. The mandatory rail-side attractions slid past damply. Euphemie found the silence she was sitting in unnerving. Time, in which she had to think, had come upon her as an unpleasant surprise. She knew why she was doing what she was doing. She had to win the debate. An open debate about everything that separated her from her half-sister. The train pulled to a halt in Northampton station. A few people got off, and Euphemie blindly followed the crowd through the low, early 70s station building. On the ugly station forecourt, 3 taxis stood waiting. Euphemie walked to the first. 76 Cyril Street. After a brief journey of which Euphemie took no notice, it turned off the main road past a corner adult bookshop with shuttered windows. She knocked on the door of 76. Nothing. She knocked again. A noise from within. She looked up, but saw nothing. She was just about to knock again when the letterbox opened.
Who is it?
Came a thin old voice. My name's Euphemie Betterment. I'm looking for Ian Ringfold. The door opened a crack, a stout security chain clearly in place. A wizened, liver-spotted hand held the door delicately, and Ian's mother's face appeared. Is it possible to see him?
He's at work, where he should be.
Oh, where's that?
Up at Besco's. Where else?
I thought he'd resigned.
I hope not. Things are hard enough already.
I'm sorry. Can I ask where the supermarket is?
Up the top, turn right, then left onto Wellingborough Road.
Is there anywhere around here I can get a cab?
A what?
A cab, a taxi.
What do you want one of them for?
The number 47 bus goes up the Wellingborough Road, if you want to wait for it. Be quicker walking. You look fit enough.
Euphemie was backing away, smiling for all she was worth. She waved at the still open door when she reached the corner of Cyril Street, then turned and found her way onto the Wellingborough Road. She completed the journey that Mrs. Ringfold had estimated would take 20 minutes in about 13. Just as she finally saw the Besco sign, a number 47 bus sped past her, and the resulting wave from its huge tyres hitting a puddle drenched her completely. She walked into the store through the huge circular doors which seemed to sense her presence and turn accordingly. She walked up to what looked like an information desk. "I'm looking for Ian Ringfold." The woman picked up a phone. "Mr. Ringfold, contact customer services, please." "Thank you," said Euphemie, feeling her cheeks flush horribly. "What are you doing here?" Ian was suddenly standing beside her. "I wanted to talk to you, to explain." "So you came here while I was working?" "I'm sorry." "Look, by not taking the offered promotion package, I've completely blown it." "I thought you'd resigned." "Well, I wrote the letter. I was going to post it, but then by the time I got here this morning, I was bloody glad I hadn't." "Is there somewhere we can go?" "Not while I'm on duty." "I just want to try and explain to you what's going on, about what happened last night." Suddenly Euphemie sensed a lump building in her throat, and her eyes began to fill with tears. She hadn't expected to be this upset. Ian chewed his lips and walked away. He returned a few seconds later with a trolley. "I'm just going to show this young lady to the tin produce section, Joyce." He walked off briskly, and Euphemie followed. "Ian, please, will you listen to me?" "No. You've come into my store, so you listen to me, and come and see what I want to show you." He took hold of her shoulders and moved her solidly but gently to the side of a shelving unit, so that her head was right next to the cans. "Look along." She did. She blinked. What she was looking at wasn't a random collection of cans. It was an amazing blend of colours, the intensity of which defied the brain. "It's brilliant, Ian. I can't believe what I'm seeing. You've made something beautiful out of something so mundane." "There you go. That's what I do, Euphemie. I don't run charities or make films. I don't hobnob with top people or celebrities. I just help run a big store. That's what I do." I know. That's the whole point of what I'm doing, Ian, don't you see?" "No. I see two spoilt ladies who've had a bit of a set-to in the old ego department and have decided to use some poor old muggins, namely yours truly, thanks very much, as a sort of pawn in the old game of life." "But we won the wager, that's the thing. This is what I wanted to tell you. We won. Well, you won." Euphemie paused, waiting for a response. There was none. "All I want you to do is come back to London with me. We'll see Gresham and show her that this is who you are." "A sado?" "No." "Well, if I am a sado, I'm a very happy one." "Please come, Ian." "No. Now, I really must go. I actually have some real customers to attend to, actually." "Please don't keep saying actually like that. Oh, God, Ian, please. She owes me over £7,000. "I'm sorry. That's not my fault." "Oh, Ian, please try and see what we've done." "Made my life a misery?" "I'm sure not." "Oh, well, that's good then. You're sure not. Now, listen up and listen good, Euphemie Betterment. Leave me alone." Ian walked away and was immediately accosted by a shopper. Euphemie was stumped. She started to wander towards the exit, worrying mainly about how she would get back to her flat, have a bath and go back to bed. A young black man was standing under the vast glass and steel structure that emanated from the side of the supermarket. "Excuse me, is there anywhere around here I can get a cab?" The young man pulled a small earphone from his ear and turned towards her.
"Sorry? Come again?
I'm trying to get a taxi, a cab. The man flourished a card from deep within his enormous pockets.
It's my uncle. Bell him.
Thank you. Euphemie pulled out her mobile phone and started dialing.
Nicoya F-150. Well, nice phone,
said the young man as he passed. Is your name Eddie?
Yeah, who's asking?
You're a friend of Ian Ringfold's, aren't you?
Yeah, for me sins.
Could you spare me a couple of minutes, do you think? Gresham sat in the dark. In every respect, Gresham was sitting in the dark. The thing about this film, she thought to herself, is it's shit. It's got this Nona Wilfred piece of horse-dung so-called actress who is so bad that the whole thing falls flat. What are we going to do, Simon? She sinks it. We've cut her out as much as possible, and it's still crap. It isn't crap. The funny bits are very funny, the sad bits are very sad. All the test screenings, with only the most trusted of friends, had proved their worst fears. The whole story was utterly unconvincing, and more or less everyone said it was a pity you didn't get Emma Thompson or Kate Winslet. No one understood it except Stanhope. Good God, you are a clever woman, he said afterwards. It's a staggering achievement. To which Gresham replied, Well, that shows you know fuck all about filmmaking, darling, because it's shit. Gresham thundered down the stairs at Allied Fountain and saw Graham Walker-Smith, the company boss, standing in reception. It's a tough job, filmmaking. No one ever said it would be easy, darling. You never said anything except the American money is tied to that tragic Wilfred bitch who couldn't act to save her scrawny ass, so use her. The journey to the restaurant on top of the Oxo building on the south bank of the Thames took, as always, a lot longer than Gresham expected. Sorry I'm late, she said as she air-kissed her half-sibling. Pervy Graham got me in reception. Feel like I need a shower. Who's Pervy Graham? Asked Euphemie. God, Feemy, where'd you live? Graham Walker-Smith, he's a total creep, a slimy, sticky-fingered pervert. How disgusting. Why'd you work with him, Gresh? He's got shed loads of dosh, and he's a total unrepentant shagger. He likes having his picture taken with me at premieres and all that old rot. Talking of old rot, how's Stanhope? Feemy, are you pissed? Not exactly. I just had to wait so long for you, I had a little drink. Why don't you have a voddy, Gresh? I need to talk. What's up? Everything's going really well. We've got the huge big benefit on the 5th, so you must come to that. I don't believe it. How could you? How could I what? You know that's the night of my premiere. What? The film I've been slaving away on for the past 3 years. Christ, the one night of the year I would really have liked your support. You always try and fuck up everything I do. You always have. I mean, everyone is going to be at my thing. I've even invited you. Well, you can't have him. And you can't have Ben Elton either. I've invited him. Well, he's doing a 10-minute spot for me. Oh, Feemy, how could you? You are a bloody nightmare. Euphemie sobbed hopelessly, her mouth open like a down-facing crescent moon. I'm sorry to dump all this on you, but I'm crying, Gresham, because I am broken. I'm broke. And because we had a wager. And you, well, I don't like to say it, but you cheated, really. What wager? You're not still on about that tosser, are you? Hang on, what is this about? Feemy, you haven't fallen for this guy, have you? No, of course not. Euphemie wiped the tears from her eyes with the back of her hand. No, she said again. You have. Come on, there's no point lying, Feemy. It's me, I can tell. You're wrong. I'm not in love with Ian, nor he with me. We had a very professional relationship. I helped him develop.
and in so doing, I learnt a lot myself.
For God's sake, Feemy.
I've been thinking about setting up some sort of foundation which helps people change their lives and their outlook.
You are pissed out of your tiny mind.
I'm not. I know what I've done works, and just because you cheated me doesn't mean I'm wrong. I want to help people the rest of society has written off. Anyway, I'm broke.
What do you mean you're broke? You've got a private income.
Because I spent so much on fixing Ian. Over 7,000.
Christ!
That's why he looks so fabulous.
A fucking sack of potatoes would look pretty sprauncy if you spent 7 grand on it. Guilt doesn't work on me, Feemy, you know that. People would hear that I paid my batty half-sister 7 grand because she brought a fucking male model to my party and I believed it was a train spotter.
I think I'm going to be sick, said Euphemie quietly.
An hour later, Gresham heaved Euphemie's semi-conscious body out of a taxi in front of her flat on Clapham Common North Side. She opened the door and hauled Euphemie up the large, airy flight of stairs. She turned and walked to the window. Cars rumbled slowly past on the main road. A young child ran with a dog in the park. It was the most miserable view she had ever seen. Her hand brushed against something. It was a sheet of paper dangling over the edge of a large table covered with a green chenille cloth. It was a computer printout of an abysmally typed email message with an address written in Euphemie's hand. Ian Ringfold, 76 Cyril Street, Northampton. Gresham picked up the sheet of paper, and as she stared at her sister, carefully folded it and put it in a pocket.
I cannot believe you let a beanie like that slip between your fingers, Guy. She was gagging for it, Guy.
Eddie nearly fell over with the force of his own delivery. He held his half-shaven head in his hands as he spun on one Nike heel.
Gagging for it!
Ian sat motionless, his feet occasionally hitting the thousands of packets of Daz Ultra he was sitting on.
Begging for bread, boy?
Eddie grabbed his own groin and dragged himself around the floor with his own baggy jeans.
I've never seen a beanie so frothed up.
The pain of this memory drove Eddie to pound his fists melodramatically on the kitchen rolls. Ian surprised himself by how unmoved he was. He knew Euphemie was very beautiful, but that, he constantly reminded himself, wasn't enough. He was going to miss seeing her, miss his exciting trips to London, but he knew he had to make his own way. He suddenly felt the need to defend her.
Well, Euphemie isn't like that. She's got lots of problems, I suppose. I don't think she's a very happy lady. Anyway, she's got a bit of a fiancé in Italy or somewhere.
They always go for foreign geezers. All your supermodels and top beanies, they always go out with Italian footballers or American baseball stars who've got serious disposable, you know? That's what it comes down to. Having serious disposable and a nice set of wheels. You know, like a Cosworth Sierra.
The hiss of air brakes broke into Eddie's rapturous fantasy. He stood frozen to the spot, face turned down with misery until he finally snapped out of it, and with a jaunty step climbed onto the forklift and started it up. Ian walked towards the back of the vast trailer with his clipboard. Eddie had made him think. It was strange that Euphemie had come all this way to see him. Maybe. He shook his head with what he felt was a knowing grin. She just wanted to win her bet. She just wanted her £7,000. The wall-mounted phone rang. Ian answered. It was Mrs. Phillips.
I've been on to head office. They say that your erratic behaviour does not bode well at this point in time. Looking at things from a fresh perspective, as it were, I don't see that we can keep you on here in your present position. I have Doreen McAllister down to become Deputy Manager Dry Goods. I've always known she would do that job when you moved on. Well, you did move on, and now you've moved back again. and it can't be done, Ian. The only thing I can offer is night shift manager. Greatly reduced pay and pension, but that's about all I can do. It's a total take-it-or-leave-it package, I'm afraid.
Okay. When do you want me to work until?
I'm sorry?
Well, I'm not going to be night shift manager, so we can forget that.
When does your shift finish, Ian?
4:30.
Well, I'd like you to stay on until at least then.
Eddie had driven up behind him, a massive pile of eggs balanced on the forklift.
What happened?
Got the grand order of the Buttarucci. Mrs. Filippo just gave me the old marching orders.
Bitch!
Eddie spun in a circle on his massive trainers and then pulled out his mobile phone.
Bell the beanie.
Okay.
Ian smiled and dialed the number.
Thank you.
Ian? Euphemie sounded soft and gentle, not what he was expecting.
Listen, I'll go through with it. If you split the proceeds half and half.
Ian, what are you saying? You know this isn't about money.
My position is simple. You either give me half the proceeds or I do nothing. Do we have a deal?
Okay, 50-50. But you must promise to do everything I say.
I'll go the whole hog. You know we can win, Euphemie.
I know.
I'll call you later and discuss details.
He switched off the phone.
Well?
Asked Eddie. Ian smiled.
We have a deal.
Ian, my man, you are well wicked. You know what I'm saying?